election coverage. Are you crazy? It's the midterm elections. Are you crazy? Is that what you are? Okay, so this is the regular show if you will, on election day. And then we've got election coverage starting in 2 hours, and it's gonna go for God knows how long. Buckle up, and this time, Republicans, brace for impact. Okay, so I've got a 1,000 things to tell you. Edwin, our stage manager, predicted when we started at 10 in the morning here at Pacific time that after 12 straight hours, I would run out of time. And so far, exactly on schedule. Okay, so dramatic announcement to begin with. Polls have closed. In Indiana and Kentucky, at least half of Kentucky. Kentucky's confusing.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that in Indiana.
Yeah. Polls have closed somewhere, okay? We were pretty sure it's Indiana and Kentucky.
Half of Kentucky closes, according to NPR, half of Kentucky closes at 6th, and that includes a bellwether race. That includes a race that everybody should be paying attention to, the incumbent Republican in the 6th district of Indiana, Andy Barr, and Amy McGrath, the challenger. So that's a race that will be could be a sign of good things to come or another catastrophic night.
Well, we're gonna have to see when Lexington comes in, and will Yarmouth's seat be safe?
Although yeah, I think it's important. This is a competitive race that everybody should pay attention to. It is in a district that Trump won by 15 points.
Yeah.
So if Amy McGrath is defeated in that district by a couple of points, no need to panic.
Yeah, don't panic, don't panic. But if she wins, Republicans go ahead and
panic. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Now, at 7 o'clock and in about an hour, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia all closed. 7:30, North Carolina, Ohio, West Virginia closed. So look, if you're in the 48 other states other than Indiana, well, 48 and a half other states other than Indiana and half of Kentucky, I do need you to panic. Go out and vote, okay? We're massively in favor of voting. This is the point when normal media organizations say, now we don't care who you vote for, Republican or Democrat. We do. Do not vote for Republicans. And there are no moderate Republicans. It's not a thing that's real. I know I was one. I left with my hair on fire, and so is every other moderate from the Republican Party. So go out and vote for progressives if you can, Democrats if you can. Okay, and by the way, the good news is, as we're gonna show you throughout the night, there are tons of progressives out there, which is not a sentence I could have spoken often before this election cycle. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two, before I get into the breakdown of who's likely to win, not, and we've already got some calls. It's action-packed, action-packed. Okay, I wanted to first point out one of the fun things we're doing about the Young Turks here and why we could put together this whole entire day for you guys. It's membership. Members make this possible. If we didn't have this many members, we couldn't do this. And we need to build a home of progressives here and make it sustainable. So come join us, tyt.com/join. Now, when we start our membership drive, which we're in the middle now, on Labor Day, do we have it? Do we have the thermometer? It was I remember, it was 27,661, okay? So this morning, Jen, do we have any of these or no? Yes, okay, can we see where we were either at the beginning or this morning? I'll take either one, okay? And okay, there it was in the beginning, right there, 27,661, how's that for a memory? Okay, that was on Labor Day, okay?
That was Labor Day of this year.
This year, that's right. All right, so now let's see where we were this morning. 34,090. Now we're trying to get to 100,000. It's a little difficult, perhaps slightly unrealistic, but still, okay. And then I declared an audacious goal for today. Can we get to 35,000? Can we add about 1,000 members today? So can I see where we are at the top of the show? 34,331.
The results are just coming in.
Okay, all right. Lexington is in. But we've got 48 and a half states to go. Okay, so we would love to get to 35,000 by the end of today. Not only can you do tyt.com/join, you can do tyt.com/gift and give the gift of truth and knowledge to either fellow progressives or conservatives and independents who you think might be helped by hearing the actual facts. And we're gonna lay out the facts, not only in the races, but also in the issues of the day as we go along tonight. And a new feature, and we really hope that you can participate in this. A lot of times, you guys help build the studio, you help build our investigative reporting team, and you did it through contributions. In this case, we think if you go to tyt.com/sponsor, You could take the same money that some of you guys have given in the past for those groups and actually spread the message. So it's a twofer: build home of progressives, independent media, and then on top of that as well, spread the message and buy them in bulk, whatever number you think makes sense, 5, 10, 25. There's 3-month membership, 6-month, 1 year. You could do a renewing one. So please go to tyt.com/sponsor. And if you are okay with it, we'd love to give shout outs to you guys as we go along tonight for those of guys buying those sponsorships, okay? And I want to give out shout outs later to the people who are streaming the Young Turks in different parts of the country, Denver, Hawaii, Washington. But we'll do that later because I got to tell you some of the lay of the land for what is going to happen today, okay? So we have all of the different sites that have made predictions for today, and including the Young Turks here. I did that at the end of last week, okay? So there's 3 particular things. The ballot measures are not numerical. You can't track how many the Republicans or Democrats have won. We will talk about those tonight, but let me start with the House, which is the one that is the most talked about for good reason because the Republicans now control it, and almost everyone, in fact, literally everyone that tracks the numbers believes that the Democrats will gain control of the House. The question is by how much? So at 538, they are the most aggressive. They believe that the Democrats will pick up 39 seats in the House. So right now it's about, when you take in the vacancies into account, it's about 240 Republicans and 195 Democratic seats, okay? So 39 would be a huge swing in favor of the Democrats, and they would obviously hold the House. Sabato has it at 34. Real Clear Politics is the lowest at 27. CNN has it at 32. These are their best educated guesses based on the polling. Uygur's got it at 38.
38
seats that the Democrats are going to pick up in the House.
23 is the number needed to gain control.
Yes, so we all are past the 23 number.
Ryan, can I add my number?
Of course.
Well, you know what, you didn't ask. I'm not going to do it.
Have I mentioned how good your hair looks?
I've decided to go with a number. I was fiddling right around your number. I was at like 40. You know, I wanted to be optimistic, and I feel optimistic. The numbers ticked in the right direction in that last little bit of polling. I do not believe the level of enthusiasm is the same. Just using old school political instincts, right? Like you can measure it. You can tell me some numbers. Those numbers are worthwhile. If Democrats aren't more motivated than Republicans in this election year with this president, then that's an unpredictable thing. Like, right? So Trump's the 45th president. I'm going to go strong. I'm going to go 45.
Wow, God bless your heart. You see, I put the range on Thursday between 38 and 50. I said, and I think, and so this is what I explained back then, and I want to double down on. There's an X factor we're going to find out tonight that's going to be really interesting that I do not know, and we're all going to discover together, which is how big is the hidden wave? How much is the polling off from likely voters versus the voters that actually show up? How much does energy matter? How much does enthusiasm matter? How much does turning out your base matter, right? Because right now, if you just look at the polling, it's 26 to 38, and or maybe 39 now, with Nate Silver moving it to 39. And as I looked at the numbers, I arrived at 38. My gut says way higher. In fact, I said 38 to 50. I don't know, but I'm doing. It's very uncharacteristic of me. I'm pulling things back because if you remember, a couple of times I said I think they can get all the way up to 250, right? 250. That would be a 55-point swing, 55-seat swing.
That kind of thing has happened, but gerrymandering has made it difficult.
Yeah, but you know, as I looked at the range that Nate Silver had at 538, it's actually wider than my range, and he has it from 21-seat pickup, in which case they would narrowly miss gaining control of the House, to 59.
It's actually not. That's not even. You're not even. I must say, with all due respect, you're not even quite reading it right. That's just where he capped it as in the 80% range. But the fact is, slightly beyond 59 is not really any less likely than 59. 60 or 61 or 62 is infinitesimally. So the range is really in that, that's his box right there. Yeah. So if you expand it, it could easily be 18 to 65, easily.
Yeah, now, so having said that, 55 is how much you would need to get to 250. So my original prediction, however many months ago, was 250 for the Democrats. That'd be 55. That's actually on the board tonight. It is possible.
It's on the board. Yeah, that's right.
But in terms of what what are the range of outcomes? As you remember from 2016, if you guys watched that, we said the range of outcomes was about 35% chance that Donald Trump could win, which we said was a very real possibility. Nate Silver had it a little lower than us. And
he had it, but it was like around 30.
But it was right around there.
30, yeah.
30. He was around 30. We were around 35, and then everybody else was. HuffPost is the one that really sticks out in my mind. They had it at 98.4% chance that
the New
Hillary
York Times was about 89 to 11.
Yeah, and so we thought that was off, and we thought, hey, 35% is possible. But now remember, so Nate's got it at 7 out of 8 chance that Democrats are going to regain the House. We've got this range, but it is a range, and that's real. So. Meaning, if it turns out Trump's strategy of going over the top of the rallies and getting because Trump does not believe what the establishment Democrats believe. I don't mean policy-wise, I mean strategy-wise. The establishment Democrats have a strategy that Ryan Grimm at The Intercept summarized nearly perfectly in his last article, along with Brianna Gray. It's called a whole food strategy, and he didn't name it that, the Democrats did. They're looking to flip rich Republicans in the suburbs where there are whole food stores. They believe that's the right target for them. They're looking to flip people. Trump does not believe in flipping people. What he believes in is, I'm gonna get my guys out. I'm gonna get them angry. I'm gonna get them afraid. I'm gonna get them emotional, and I'm gonna get them to show up.
He believes in flipping people off.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Those are your two different strategies. So maybe that works. I actually believe strategically that getting your own base to turn out, the Trump strategy is a smarter one, is a more accurate, correct one, okay?
The Democrats have again, if it doesn't work, then it's a sign that it won't ever work. That here, you can flip people and get your base out. That's what they're thinking, is that there's really nothing we can do to get people more interested. I mean, the number of people, just in little anecdotal stories that I just, and I'm a big disbeliever in general in paying attention to that. But there's so many people who are coming out to vote. One woman in Texas, great story, and she hauled her oxygen machine along with her, and she brought her oxygen machine, and she opened up her coat, and she had a Beto T-shirt underneath, like 77-year-old woman in a wheelchair with her oxygen. And the reporter's like, you brought the two things. You brought your Beto shirt, and then and Beto showed up while she was there, same district, right? So it's in El Paso, and she was like, and he was like, why does Beto mean so much? And she said, because he's everything Trump isn't.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that is symbolic of the Democratic strategy in a sense. This way, they might be able to have their cake and eat it too, because the base hates Trump so much. Plus, you could maybe reach out to the Whole Foods guys. Now, having said that, I believe in getting people out to vote. That's why I'm really worried, not about the House as much, but about the Senate, where they are running some candidates that I think de-energize the base rather than energizing them. Joe Donnelly, Heitkamp, but to be fair, Manchin, who's got a nice lead.
Bill Nelson certainly is not energizing. The interesting thing,
but he's lucky because he's got Gillum in the state.
There's a lot of I read a great stat yesterday that in every election since 1978. There is when there are competitive races in the Senate, they're toss-up races. Only one time has the number even been as low as one side gets 2/3, 67%. It's always more than that. They never split them, right? So there are 9 Senate toss-up races. Republicans would love right now to be like, hey, they win 4, we win 5, or they win 5, we win 4. We'll take it, right? Because then they're guaranteed to hold the Senate. Almost always, every side wins all but one.
Well, that's a giant mystery for tonight.
The last 3 times, I think it's 3, there have been 9 toss-up seats. One party has won 8 of them, and there are 9 toss-up seats.
Wow, I did not know that. So
I didn't know it
very
either. I didn't know it either.
So, but if any time that rule is going to be broken, it's tonight, because so many of the Senate seats are basically tied as we go in. Missouri's tied, Nevada's tied, Arizona's tied, Indiana's basically tied. So you got 4 ties going into tonight, plus the others are also close across the board. There's only a couple of blowouts on the Senate side. So as you look at it, almost everyone that I listed there, Sabato, Real Clear Politics, Nate Silver, they all agree that the Republicans pick out 1 seat in the Senate. It's only because of the way the map is. A lot more Democrats are up for re-election than Republicans are, and it's mainly in red states. Now, next time around, it'll be completely different. It'll be the exact opposite. Democrats will have a huge advantage.
In a normal year with a normal president with an economy that most people see as doing well, given the playing field Democrats are on in the Senate, that it would be reasonable that Republicans would gain 5 or 6 seats. With a president with a solid economy. I got it, midterms are usually a strike against the president, but in a booming economy, they should do well given this horrific playing field.
Yeah, and by the way, 538 says that they could pick up as much as 4 seats, so Republicans could actually have significant gains in the Senate. I said that the Democrats would pick up one. It'd be 50. The final conclusion would be 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans in their respective caucuses, and with Pence, the Republicans would barely hold on.
But we're trying to flip Pence.
Oh yeah, good luck with that one.
Just to again, since there's no, we might as well try to feel good now, right? Because it just might be impossible to feel good later. So think of it like Republicans have a 1 in 8 shot to control the House, and Democrats have about a 1 in 5 shot to control the Senate.
Yeah, and so, and then finally on the governors, Sabato says 10. It's actually the most aggressive. 10 Democratic pickups. 538 says 8 Democratic pickups. So the governor's races are very, very important because after the 2020 census, you get to redraw the congressional district lines. So the governors affect the House races for a whole decade. So winning those governor seats is monumentally important. We'll see if they actually do pick up that number of seats.
Yeah, we got to have the state legislatures too. But theoretically, if you're going to gain that much in the state house, you're likely to do it with the state legislatures as well. Also, whatever the number of gubernatorial pickups there are, that's the number of new governors who will run for president in 2020.
Yeah, they're all excited about that.
They will all talk about it. They will all think about it.
Yeah, and so bottom line is, if the wave is real, these numbers will all be on the bigger side for the Democrats. If it turns out that the Democratic Party found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, the numbers will be significantly lower, and it might be because of whether they turn out their base or not. But so far in the early voting, and all indications appear to be that the numbers are much larger than previous midterms. So the base and the energy does appear to be there for the Democrats. So in just a couple hours, we'll find out who was right and who was wrong. Okay, now some of the results are already in, and the first race that was called this morning was called by a Republican against himself. So this was a little strange. It's Darrell Issa, it's 49th District of California. He's one of the most loathsome Republicans. He ran so many investigations against Obama with no merit whatsoever. He's not running because he knew he was going to lose. I'm not the only one saying that. Basically, he said that this morning. Listen to what he said on Fox.
What is your sense about today? I mean, you're one of these districts that could really flip toward Hillary Clinton. What gives at the end of the night, do you think?
Well, to a certain extent, you have to write off some of California. My district was never in play this cycle, and so it was never funded. And quite frankly, we know the results already, and there will be a Democrat representing La Jolla and Solana Beach for the first time in a number of years. But I have to remind people, I took that part of the district from a Democrat, and someday it'll be taken back. But for now, California is leaning very hard to the left.
So I'm sure that the person who's running in his seat now as a Republican did not really appreciate that Issa basically declared that they have no chance of winning today. But it's true. It's got about a 96% chance of going to Mike Levin, the Democrat in that race. That was a hotly contested primary on the Democratic side. Colonel Applegate, who was a Just Democrat, almost beat Issa last time. It was the closest race in the country. So Issa basically knew that the handwriting was on the wall. He wasn't going to win, so he ran. Later in that interview, he said, "Oh well, I mean, I believe in term limits, and I've served it." You just said you knew you were going to lose.
Yeah.
You don't believe in term limits. You believe you got term limited because you were going to get your ass handed to you. So Levin will very likely pick up that seat, and so Issa's right about that. It's a rare sentence for me to say. But one more thing from Issa that I found amusing. Let's watch the second part.
I think the net gain is 1. There's only been 1 seat that wasn't defended. All the other seats have been vigorously defended. We've been outspent 2 or 3 to 1 in a number of these seats, Dana Rohrabacher's, Mimi Walters, and so on. But there's been enough money to get the message out.
Okay, I'm really amused that Darrell Issa and the Republicans are now complaining about being outspent.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, is money in politics a problem? Oh, why didn't Ben? Did you know that?
No.
That's a very big news to me. And what is the complaint that they have about Soros, other than his religion and ethnicity? It's that, oh, well, he's a donor. He's giving money to all these politicians. Yeah, I know. That's why you should get money out of politics. So, but now it's very ironic and rich for the Republicans to complain that there's too much money in politics.
And so many, and the fact is, so much of the money came from candidates who are not taking any PAC money at all. That almost the overwhelming majority of their donations came from regular people giving money.
Yep. So Isa, it was not nice knowing you, but it is great to see you leave. Although, of course, a nice cushy landing. The White House announced that the president has nominated Isa to lead the United States Trade and Development Agency. At least we traded him out of his congressional seat, and that was not voluntary. Yes, that was definitely part of the blue wave. All right, when we come back, more Democratic victories. I can already tell you 6 other ones that are going to happen, and then it's election day, so the Republicans, some right wingers, can't help themselves, so of course they went full racist. So we'll explain when we return. We hope you're enjoying this free clip from the Young Turks. If you want to get the whole show and more exclusive content while supporting independent media, become a member at tyt.com/join today. In the meantime, enjoy this free segment. All right, guys, back on the Young Turks. So many things to get to. We won't be able to do everything here, but I want to read YouTube super chat here. Sajjad Nasir says, "Hey TYT, this is Sajjad from South Florida. I hope Tim Canova is my congressman, Nelson is still my senator, and Gillum is my governor, but the grand prize is Ted Cruz losing." So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program, because we'll show you how much money you guys raised and how many people you reached in Texas with that ad against Ted Cruz. Maybe you made the difference. It's over 1 million people that you reached, so that's no joke. So for now, we're doing tyt.com/share tonight. And what that means is if you've got a story about the elections or what happened to you today, share it with us. Plus, if you're watching the Young Turks in a gathering, share that with us, and we might be able to even show your stream later. It's complicated, but good luck, and we can certainly talk about it. So, in fact, I know that in Washington,
that's just what Chris Cuomo said.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, good luck.
Share with us. We'll try. I don't know. I don't understand how the technology works. Yeah. I doubt it, but I'll mention it maybe if I remember.
Yeah. No. Look,
you're watching CNN
at Washington D.C. Eaton, okay, there's Eaton House, the Eaton Hotel, EATON. They're all getting together. It's a beautiful place, I've seen it, where progressives are getting together and watching this Young Turks stream. So if you're in DC, go check that out. All right, here from the Share Stories, Zuza writes in, "I got my 90-year-old Baptist grandmother to vote straight Democrat for the first time in her life. I've showed her tons of TYT clips so that she could see with her own eyes the truth that everyone in her church keeps lying to her about. And it made a difference. Never ever would I have thought she would vote Democrat. I was just hoping she wouldn't vote at all, but this was way better." Thank you, that's what I love about that. Part of the reason why we started the gift and the sponsor programs, because we want you to share this message with people, and we think that we can break through, because we don't base it just on our opinions, we base it on facts, and we show you the facts over and over again, as we're gonna do throughout the night. Now, we're progressive. One of our sponsors tonight that's helping to put this together is Aspiration. They're wonderfully progressive. They're a financial institution, and they're dedicated to positive change in this country. And you can make change in 2 different ways. You can do it with your vote today, obviously, and you can do it with where you put your money, because they don't put money in any of the dirty companies, the fossil fuel companies, the gun companies, etc. They put it in things that are environmentally friendly. They give away 10% to charity. So aspiration.com/TYT, okay, aspiration.com/TYT, and putting your money where your progressive ideals is, in my opinion, perfect. That's why we took them as a sponsor, and they're helping us do the election coverage tonight, which we're grateful for. All right, so now let's go to some victories. So very likely what will happen as soon as the polls close in their respective areas is that we will have 6 new progressive champions in the House tonight. So you might recognize the first one. It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So this will be part of the first wave. She defeated, of course, Joe Crowley, who's a Democrat, who was the number 4 Democrat in the House, and he was part of this, what I would call the establishment wing of the Democratic Party. He raised a ton of money through corporate lobbyists. Ocasio-Cortez was corporate PAC free. She's a Just Democrat. She had a stunning victory. You've probably heard about it. Now, the others, I'm not sure you have. If you watch the Young Turks regularly, you might have heard of most of them. But if you haven't, here are the other victors from today that will happen. Rashida Tlaib in Michigan's 13th district. She will be, well, she was slated to be the first Muslim American woman in Congress ever, except for the fact that it'll be a tie because Ilhan Omar from Minnesota's 5th district will also win. The reason I say that is because all 3 of those are in very, very blue districts. In fact, all 6 are. Rashida Tlaib was in John Conyers' old seat. He obviously stepped down, and she won that in a very tightly contested primary. But again, no corporate PAC money, Justice Democrat. Beat her establishment Democrat opponents to win that seat. Ilhan Omar taking Keith Ellison's seat, same exact situation, Justice Democrat, no corporate PAC money. And the fact that she was not corrupted made a giant difference in that victory. Ayanna Pressley in Massachusetts' 7th district ran against Capuano, who was a good progressive, but did take corporate PAC money. People preferred the uncorrupted candidate. So that is 4 Justice Democrats that are going to win tonight. So Ayanna Pressley will also win. That's her right there. Now, 2 other victors that were not just Democrats, but also wonderful progressives, and ones that we've talked to you about before. Deb Haaland in New Mexico's 1st district. She will win tonight, and she will be the first Native American woman in Congress. That might also be a tie, but she's pretty much guaranteed. And then Jahana Hayes, Connecticut's 5th district. Told you about her very early on. Yet the same exact story in all of these. An upstart progressive challenger to an establishment candidate, and people did not give her a chance. She's an incredible fighter, Jahana Hayes, and she won as well. Now, it just so happens that those 6 that are guaranteed victories all happen to be women of color. So they thought it might be the year of the woman. It has certainly started that way. And so that is, in a lot of ways, what scares the Trump voters. So to us, that looks like wonderful diversity. That looks like America. And to the Republican voters who vote for Trump, that looks like a new face of America they are not comfortable with. But whether they're comfortable or not, here they come.
To many Democrats, the best way to take on Trump is with a sort of a middle-aged businessman, very business-friendly, former Republican who switched parties recently.
That's right. Yeah. Again, Ryan Grimm at The Intercept wrote about this. The ideal candidate, according to the Democratic establishment, he's reporting on it, right? He talks to the Democratic consultants, lobbyists, congressional leaders. They love people who are business owners, who are veterans, former Republicans, and the cherry on top is if you're a former prosecutor. So that is their go-to move. Now, what they never ask is, what's your policies?
Right. I mean, I'm all for. There are groups recruiting veterans to run. I'm all for veterans. I imagine that I'm for the veterans who don't want to make other veterans. Right, which and of course there as we've seen now, hopefully there'll be a lot more prosecutors, because as we've seen lately, there've been some really good prosecutors elected who are rethinking what it means to be a prosecutor, and I would be very happy if down the road those people entered Congress.
Well, Wesley Bell beat McCullough in St. Louis in Missouri, and he's a wonderful prosecutor, and he's actually going to look out for everybody in that community. There's some great prosecutors out there that are going to do criminal justice reform. Veterans, prosecutors, all businessmen. Christine Hallquist could be the first transgender governor in American history in Vermont. She's a former CEO, okay? So, but do I care that they're a CEO or a veteran or a prosecutor? No, I care about their policies. So, hey, I'm a veteran means nothing to me. Hey, I'm a veteran who's gonna fight for you means everything to me. So, I mean, you saw, of course, you guys know how much we care about Richard Ojeda. Why do we care about him? It's not even his policies are the most progressive. I've said that 1,000 times now. It's that he has a fighting spirit and he's a populist. Now, he's a veteran who doesn't mind fighting back. They challenged him because he doesn't want as many wars. He's got 16 medals. And he went and did an ad where he said, I got my friends who I went to war with who didn't make it back, I got their names tattooed on my back. You're gonna challenge my military record? He's like, no, I'm gonna fight. I fought for this country and I'm gonna fight for you. How dare she, Carol Miller? Okay, I love that ad. That's a veteran I love. It depends. What is your policy position? All 6 of these women won because they ran uncorrupted and really strong progressive.
There's an interesting, Harley Ruda is the guy running against Dana Rohrabacher in the 49th district of California. And Harley Ruda is a businessman. He moves his arms super awkwardly, right? When he says he's been a Republican almost all his life. He gave money to John Kasich in 2016. Right?
I know.
Now, that said, he said he's the only Republican he says he's voted for lately because they're friends and he gave money to him. It's a little tough to believe, but he claims to want free tuition at public universities and Medicare for all.
Yeah.
So that's so okay. Well, if that's what you're campaigning on.
Yeah, he came in here. Yeah. He came to the studio. We talked it out, and no, he's running as a progressive. Look, all I care about is policy. So look, one part of the jury has definitely come in. The rest of we're going to see tonight. So there's a question about, is it better to run a progressive populist or one of these corporate Dems, the profile we just laid out for you guys in red districts? We argue better to run as a populist like as Ojeda has done. And whether he wins or loses tonight, he closed a 49-point lead. That is near miraculous, right? Kara Eastman, wonderful job in Nebraska. I can go on and on. We think it's way better to do that in red districts, but we're gonna find out. But in blue districts, they had no case to begin with. They said, no, even in the blue districts, we should have really corporate Democrats. Why? That makes no sense at all. In blue districts, we should have really progressive congressmen and representatives.
Like in the race that The Intercept reported on that had the audio of Steny Hoyer pressuring the more progressive candidate to get out to make way for Jason Crow, a former Army Ranger, law firm partner. And it's a district. Mike Kaufman I think it's his second term, but Mike Kaufman has scrambled. Like all he does is flip flop, and he's like, I'm totally against Trump. I got to stand with Trump. He's my guy, but not all the time, right? And but Hillary Clinton won that district by 9 points.
Oh, why are you flip flopping on Trump? Hillary won the district by 9. Any old blue just won't do. It should have been Greg Edwards. Anyway, so bottom line is, right now, based on their wins already, the jury's in on blue districts. Blue districts are gonna go to real progressives that are uncorrupted, whether the establishment likes it or they don't. It has begun. That wave against the Democratic establishment is here. It's already on shore. So, and there's pretty much nothing they can do to stop it. So I love that. That is mission accomplished. Now we move on to red districts.
1% of the districts reporting in Indiana. I guess the polls did close.
Yes.
Joe Donnelly's only down by 25 points.
Oh boy. Okay.
Whatever, it's 1%.
Now it doesn't mean anything, but as we say over and over again in these nights, it doesn't mean anything until it does.
Yeah, it's not. He's down 25 points. I mean, it's not. He's now down to barely less than. There have been 48,000 votes cast. It's not like. It's not like no votes have been cast. They've counted, and he's down 28,000 to 16,000.
So look, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I can't stand the way Joe Donnelly ran that campaign. And I've also said this 100 times. If Joe Donnelly, if I lived in Indiana, I'd vote for him because at least he is relatively socially liberal, although he's economically disastrously conservative, if you ask me. So there is a difference between him and the Republican, but you have to go and find a difference. Whereas you would do way better if you explained the difference and got your side to vote. All right, before we run out of time, I want to do one more quick story here. So in Georgia, we've got a very, very important governor's race, Stacey Abrams versus Brian Kemp. We've talked a lot about this race, partly because Brian Kemp keeps cheating, and he's a notorious liar. And now in this case, it's not Kemp, it's an outside group that is deeply racist. I know the right wing loves to cry, oh no, you can't call people racist. If you don't think this robocall is racist, then you're definitely 100% racist yourself. Now, that's a big statement, but now you're gonna listen to it. This is the robocall that went out pretending to be Oprah Winfrey, which is hilarious, as you'll see in a second. because Oprah Winfrey backed Stacey Abrams, the Democrat in that race. And here's what the robocall that went into Georgia said. Watch.
This is the magical Negro, Oprah Winfrey, asking you to make my fellow Negress, Stacey Abrams, the governor of Georgia. Years ago, the Jews who owned the American media saw something in me, the ability to trick dumb white women into thinking I was like them, and to do, read, and think what I told them to. I see that same potential in Stacey Abrams. Where others see a poor man's Aunt Jemima, I see someone white women can be tricked into voting for, especially the fat ones. And so I promise that every single person who votes for Stacey Abrams, you're going to get a new car. So you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Everybody gets a car. And as far as the race-aware whites who are in the way, don't worry about them. Like I said in that famous interview in 2013, white racists just have to die.
I have a very tough time. First of all, I don't think that was Oprah Winfrey. I don't.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the minds of racists, but did he think that anybody was going to think that was Oprah Winfrey?
No, I think that's just that's an attempt at a joke by a racist, right? No question. There's no, because I don't. What's the purpose of that? Like, what's your intent?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right. What's your intent? That somebody's going to hear that and think, oh, Oprah supported Stacey Abrams, I'm out? Like, who's getting that call?
Yeah, I
guess conservatives. I guess that's who it is.
Yeah, here's my best guess. So it's a real site. I don't want to give you the exact web address because I don't want to promote them, but it's basically called Road to Power. Okay, so and the Anti-Defamation League tracks them. They are unsurprisingly deeply racist and deeply anti-Semitic, as you just heard, and they have been for a long time. So it's a real group that did this, and their attempt is to actually defeat Stacey Abrams. So I think that what they think is they make the same mistake everybody does, plus a lot more. The one that everybody does is looking at things from their perspective. So I think they think if we get this to conservative voters in Georgia, they'll be like, yeah, I don't want that. In his words, negress, Stacey Abrams winning, and that's what these Democrats think, that everybody gets a car if we elect Stacey Abrams.
Right.
It's just handing out money to black people.
Right.
And so we'll turn it, we'll get some people to show up to vote because we'll make them realize through this. Yeah, I think he thinks.
All right.
He's
Yeah. I guess that's pretty clear. That. But I heard I was listening to POTUS radio. I know we got to take a break, but on today, it's very easy to do that. To set up, and the guy said, by going to the dark web, I've never been. You know what? I haven't been invited, and I don't like to go places where I haven't been invited. But you go onto the dark web, and then it's very easy to set up a robocall, and your computer just blasts it out.
Well, look, I went to the dark web once, and I said, "Oh, so you think the darkness is your ally?" I was born in it. Okay, no, but I wanted to share with you guys that Oprah responded. So let's watch her response.
I heard people were making racist robocalls in my name against Stacey Abrams, who I am 100% for in Georgia. I just want to say, Jesus don't like ugly. And we know what to do about that. Vote. Tomorrow, show up and show out and vote.
They are record turnout in Georgia so far in early voting already.
Some guy said he waited in line 4.5 hours to vote.
Yeah, well, there's two reasons for that. One, because Kemp made it extremely difficult to vote in Georgia, especially for people who are more likely to be Democrats than African Americans. Secondly, it didn't work. So people were like, you're trying to suppress my vote, not on my watch.
So real quick, the same thing, 70-year-old guy said he waited 4.5 hours, never waited that long to vote in his entire life, cast his vote for Stacey Abrams for governor. When asked why, he said, because Trump is an a-hole, misogynist, racist.
So they showed up, and I hope that Kemp is thrown out. And so we're gonna find out later tonight if the force of darkness in the case of the dark web and the racist win, and Kemp wins, and I put him in that category not because he's as racist and anti-Semitic as that robocall. He didn't do that call, and he condemned it later. Okay, but I put him in that category because He did something worse in essence.
That's right. Much worse, yeah.
Yeah, instead of making a call, he made a real difference in the world. He tried to make sure that less black people and less Democrats could vote when he runs that election. He runs his own election because he's the current Secretary of State. And denying people the right to vote is worse. And that's what he did. And we're gonna see tonight if unfortunately that worked, or if enough people said, not on our watch, we're gonna stay here as long as it takes to make sure that you don't get away with it. Okay, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, more hosts are joining us. We got all the Young Turks hosts throughout the night. Don't go anywhere. We'll check the thermometer again too. If you like watching election coverage from a progressive perspective, from a perspective that fights for you, tyt.com/join. We'll be right back.